Hello, and welcome to the Frankenstein Show. I'm your intrepid host, Frankenstein. In today's podcast, I'd like to tackle a very sensitive subject that affects many people, and especially the minority class and people of color, and that is police brutality. Personally, I really don't care for cops. But I respect the job that they have to perform and the risk that they take to protect thankless people like us every day. Let's say you're driving down the street, all of a sudden you hear a siren, you look in the mirror, and there's a cop wanting to pull you over. And then you say to yourself, what the does this guy want? So you're already pissed off and on the defensive. Now you're ready to tell this cop off. That's why I couldn't be a cop. I just don't have the temperament for it. Because if I were a cop and I pulled someone over and they gave me attitude, it would go down something like this. Good afternoon. License and registration, please.
What's the problem, officer? I wasn't speeding. Why should you see my license if I didn't do anything wrong? I want to speak to your supervisor.
And I'd be like,
Why, you little?
oh! Now, once again, license and registration, please. And they'd be like, yes, sir. But then people would be recording it on their smartphones from 5 different angles, and all of a sudden you're on the news for the next 3 nights. So let's just break this down into the simplest dynamic, shall we? You're being forced to pull over by a complete stranger. Then they're approaching your vehicle with a gun in their possession. Why in the world would you voluntarily want to engage in a confrontation with a total stranger that's armed? Does that make any sense at all? And yet, we find this incredible phenomenon happening in our streets every single day. This makes absolutely no sense to me, because I've been pulled over a time or two in my day, and it has never occurred to me to get in any confrontation with a cop, right or wrong, for the simple fact I don't know this person, their level of experience. I don't know their temperament. I don't know if they had a bad day. I don't know if they're suicidal, homicidal. Why would I want to put my life in the hands of a complete stranger with a gun? I mean, I got things to do. I gotta mow my lawn on Saturday. I gotta do some running around. I got things to do. Then to decide at that moment, today's a really good day to get killed. So let me give you my best contemplation of how a simple traffic stop or law enforcement encounter can suddenly turn into a crime scene. I've seen a lot of officer-involved shootings caught on video, and I have to say, a vast majority of them are really the victim's fault, because they don't have a comprehensive understanding of the law and their rights. Because, contrary to popular belief, law enforcement also have rights. They have a right to pull you over for good cause, such as a traffic stop. which is a detention. And a detention amounts to an arrest, but it is a temporary arrest because you are not free to leave. And they can keep you detained for a reasonable amount of time, such as the time it takes to write a ticket or the time it takes to investigate. But it has to be a reasonable amount of time. Now, the more you understand this and accept this and comply, the less likely you're going to get killed during a simple traffic stop or investigation. What I mean by investigation is maybe you matched a suspect's description, or the officer felt that maybe you were acting suspiciously, and so he wants to investigate. This is called articulating circumstances, and that is legal in court. That a criminal act is being committed, or is going to be committed, or has been committed, and they suspect you were involved, they have a right to detain you. Now, I'm going to give you a piece of advice that's worth its weight in gold. And this is going to keep you alive. You do not have the right to resist arrest or detention. Let me repeat that. You do not have the right to resist arrest, whether the officer was right or wrong. During a detention is not the time to protest. I don't understand why these people who end up dead don't understand this. You do not have the right to protest your detention physically, because then the officer has the right to escalate the situation. That's not the officer's fault. That's the fault of the victim. Let's not get it twisted, people. Heed this advice, and 99.99% of the time, you're going to survive this encounter. Because 99.999% of the time where these people get killed is because they either don't understand the law or they don't respect the law. And it's because of this phenomenon that people needlessly end up in the morgue. And then the next thing you know, let me give you an example of the last time I had an encounter with a cop when I got pulled over. I was driving in a car with expired plates because I was going to buy a new car the next day, so I didn't want to pay for tags that I wasn't going to use. So I went to the gym and I said, I'm going to just one last night, I'm going to drive this car, and then the next day I'm going to park it and drive my new car. So this was at night. I get pulled over. Nobody had to tell me this. Nobody had to teach me this in school. This is just common sense. I turned off my engine. I put my hands on the steering wheel and waited patiently for the officer to come to my window, which I had rolled down in anticipation. So the officer walks up and asks for my driver's license and insurance. So I looked at him and said, my driver's license is in my duffel bag in the back seat. May I reach back there and grab it? Now, I did this for a number of reasons. One, because he doesn't know why I'm reaching back there. So I'm just not going to just willy-nilly just reach back there when the man is walking up to me armed. That's just crazy. Secondly, I'm showing the officer respect and acknowledgement of officer safety. And I can tell by his reaction, he appreciated that. And so he said, go right ahead. So I reached back. He had his flashlight. I opened the duffel bag very slowly so he can see. I reached out, grabbed my wallet very slowly. I pulled out my license and I said, my insurance is in my glove box. May I reach in and get it? I'm asking the officer for permission. I did this for a purpose, to let him know he is in charge. And he appreciated that. So after he got my information, I explained my situation, and he could have wrote me a ticket. But because I believe that I showed the utmost respect and consideration for him and his function, he let me go with just a warning. I like to think I had a lot to do with that. Now, what's so hard with that? What's so hard of letting go of control? I left without a ticket, and I left with my life intact. Now, the men and women of color may have different experiences, and I can respect that. But the only chance you have to get respect is to give respect. And if you don't get respect in return, that does not give you the right to disrespect. Everyone needs to stay true to themselves. And don't let anyone take control of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. That is your responsibility. That is under your control, no one else's. So no matter what color, race, or creed that you are, if you decide to take the law into your own hands, if you decide to write your own laws, if you decide to impose your own will, don't blame anyone else if you end up dead. That's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and if you did so, please show your appreciation by donating to my GoFundMe page, which is www.gofundme.com/Frankenstein Show. That's FrankensteinShow. Once again, my name is Frankenstein, and we'll see you at the next podcast.